Let me do a diagnosis. Let me do a diagnosis. The sound works just fine from my diagnosis. I'm not sure why Logan is saying that the sound isn't working. I did a check and it is working just fine. You may keep going. I mean, I did a diagnosis and the sound is working just fine. I can do another check. Let me do a check. Okay, you might be right. There is a sound issue.
because I may need to go soon. Okay, sound good? Good with sound? Yes, no, maybe
Yep,
so.
the sound's good.
Okay. Season 25. Okay, I was on the presidential election survey. Again, if you want more specific results, you can PM me, but I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible. Okay, so in my poll, Henry Terry was leading Jacob Taney by, this poll has 38 votes, by the way. Henry Terry was at 36.84%, to Jacob Taney, 34.21%, so very narrow, while Logan Rabe was at 2.63%, and Irish Pennsylvania at 5.26%, well, a fifth of the voters, a little bit more than a fifth of the voters, were undecided, and that's going to be key in deciding who wins this election tonight. And let's break down some approval numbers. So at the beginning of this election, Jacob Taney had a higher unfavorable rating than favorable, and that has changed throughout the course of this election. But a lot of his support used to be more strongly approved, and that has shifted a bit. So according to my poll, his strongly approved rating is 15.79%. His approval rating is 30. Just simple approve is 31.58%. So roughly 47% of people approve of him. Neutral, a fifth of the voters are neutral on him. 13.16% of the voters just simply disapprove, and 18.42% strongly disapprove. So roughly 31.58% of voters. So he has a roughly 17, 18-point gap there. Rep. Henry Terry has a strongly approved rating of 21% and approval rating of a little bit over 34%. So his net just approve is 55% higher than that of Jacob Taney's, which could play a key role. But something interesting for him is the neutral rating for him is 36.84% of voters. So he's never been a candidate who's really been on the broad stream, but now he jumped into the presidential race. So a lot of voters have a neutral opinion on him. And a good sign for his campaign is that only 2.63% of voters disapprove of him, and only 5.26% strongly disapprove of him. So no one really has anything against him for the most part. And Logan Rabe, who at the beginning of this race was the most popular candidate, that has changed. Overall, he only has a roughly 44%, 45% approval rating, and most of that is in simple approve. Well, over a third of voters have a neutral opinion on him, and 21% of voters disapprove or strongly disapprove. And this is where numbers are very interesting and have changed quite a lot. Irish Pennsylvania is not a very popular candidate in this race, according to my survey. Only 31% to 32% of people approve of him, while roughly 39% to 40% approve of him. So he's the only candidate in this race with a stronger disapproval than approval rating. So those are some important numbers to look at. And lastly, the exit poll, which doesn't have too many results, but it's better than nothing, and it's all we have other than some of the results coming in right now. So with regard to the exit poll, which if we do coverage tomorrow, we'll hopefully have more results. So the exit poll shows Jacob Taney lagging behind Henry Terry with 26.67% of the vote, and Henry Terry with over 50% of the vote, Logan Rabe at 6.67% of the vote, and Irish Pennsylvania at 13.33% of the vote. So according to this poll, it looks like Henry Terry is overperforming, but there may be a hidden base for Jacob Taney who may not want to admit their support. And another question asked on the survey was, what was the most important issue to you in this election? 40% of voters say the economy, 0% say healthcare, surprisingly, 13.33% say immigration, 0% say gun policy, 0% say foreign policy, and actually there's a strong base of support for other. And I asked some of the people who voted other what some of their reasons for that was. And one example was toxicity, which that voter voted for Grover because he believed he was Henry Terry because they believed he was the least toxic candidate. Another voted because of judgment. So those are some of the things to look at: judgment and toxicity in this election as to why people voted other or had other concerns. And another person specifically said not just healthcare, but mental health care, and those are some of the people who voted other. And lastly, to look at party affiliation on this, 28.57% say Democrat, 28.57% say Republican. So it looks like the Democrat and Republican voting numbers are tied right now. Well, 35.71% voted independent, which may be due to the fact that Logan Rabe and their Irish Pennsylvania running independent campaigns. And Ricardian, a party new to Mac, obviously through Henry Terry, the presidential candidate, is at 7.14% of the vote. So those are survey results. If you want more specifics, you can PM me. Thank you guys for giving me this coverage. I hope we can talk more about this tomorrow. Enjoy talking about it. I have to go now. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night. Now, okay, so what is the most surprising within this election? This is an open discussion.
Well, if I could, I think I didn't expect Henry Terry, Representative Terry, to do as well as he did do in the debate. I think, as Ethan said just a while ago, the toxicity between Logan Rabe and Jacob Twaney was very evident. I think voters really felt that. And I think this election was really based off of the lesser of three evils, which in the minds of many voters would have been or is Representative Terry. So I think he's the breakout candidate. I think he did really well in the debate. I think he surprised a lot of folks, including myself. And I'm just ready for the results. I just want this to be over.
Chris Miller, what are your thoughts? All right then. Sorrells, what are your thoughts?
All right, yeah, I don't usually speak during these streams, but I will. I do have something to say. Now, considering Ethan's exit poll and some of the interesting results, and especially the party affiliation with a plurality of the respondents saying they're independent, I can tell that not that many members voted on the exit poll, and I wouldn't really consider the exit poll a reliable piece of piece of evidence as to how the election might go. I mean, you could consider the two of the respondents saying that toxicity and judgment are important to them. You could consider that something in favor of Henry Terry, but I wouldn't really consider that exit poll a reliable piece of evidence as to how the election might go. So that's really what I have to say right now.
All right. So, one thing that surprised me is the Ricardians party's surge in popularity over the last few days, from not by thinking Henry Terry was just a joke to actually taking him seriously for all of Mac to know about. He is a threat to the Tawney campaign, and they must step up their game in order to win. And they may get out of this. They may lose. Now, we do not know at this current moment. It is very close, and we shall see tomorrow. Now, any other comments before we move on?
I will bring up that I don't think the Ricardian party really had anything to do with it. I would consider it the candidate in general that is, some of the voters. You got big names like Uberfeld and can you name any others?
Let me think. Not sure, but I know Uberfeld endorsed Henry Terry.
I know that there's Luca, and he's pretty outspoken about who he supports.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are some big names that are supporting Henry Terry, and that whether or not that actually uh, turns into something in terms of results, we'll have to see. But I don't think that uh, Henry Terry running under the Ricardian Party really has much to do with it. More as the candidate as a person.
Um,
Mhm.
One thing that I did really notice about Representative Terry is when they were talking about carbon tax, and he said, "quote I'm against carbon tax because the burden would fall on working families." Um, uh, Jacob Twanny said that he is we know he's the author of the carbon tax bill. I think the moderators should have allowed more of a discussion between those two candidates. I think that really would have allowed Representative Terry to really shine. But he had a number of key moments where I think he really stood out from the pack, where he really separated himself from the other two who were focused on going after each other personally more than policy wise. Where I have two examples where Representative Rabe said Mr. Twanny asked him for Jasper Riley's mother's phone number to make her cry. I'm not sure the context of what Mr. Twanny says was a joke. I didn't hear it, and that's what I heard in the debate. And then Jacob Twanny says that he was trying to stick to um, policy, and he said he wasn't going to comment on any of Logan Rabe's policies. Which after he made that statement, he commented 15 times on Logan Rabe's policies. One where he called Logan Rabe anti-democratic, a warmongering, anti-democratic, anti-American monster.
Yes. Now, there are concerns over non serious candidates within this race. For example, you have Henry Terry, which is basically he hangs around the Met Chat a lot. And he does a lot of the vertebrae and bra stuff, while also you have Jacob Trani, who posts, you know, inappropriate pictures. He also requests phone numbers of people's mothers and so forth. So, like, you have to choose, as you have said before, the greater of the evils. So, which one would you decide if you line up the policies and so forth? That's the only thing deciding most of these elections.
I also want to weigh in on this more specifically about the debate. So something I've noticed, and many of you also probably have noticed, is that that Henry Terry for most of the debate kept his cool. He gave straight up answers, and then I mean, and compare that to somebody like Jacob Tawney, who was I'm gonna say that he showed a lot of energy. He showed a lot of energy in how he wants to get to the issues, and you know what I mean.
Yeah. Um, Most definitely. I thought out of Logan Rabe and Jacob Twanny, I thought out of the two of them, Logan Rabe tried, not Logan Rabe, Jacob Twanny was trying his best to stick to policy, but I think he let Representative Rabe under his skin way too easily and way too early in the debate. Um, one one instance would be the question about allowing Confederate flags on state property, where Jacob Twanny really tried to bring out that unifying message where he said, quote, we're not Southerners, we're not Northerners, we're Americans, and Confederate flags don't belong on state or government property. And Logan Rabe came out and he said that I believe he said he didn't support Confederate flags on state property, but That's another instance where Representative Terry really shined in his answer, sticking to his core beliefs and the belief of many voters, where he said he doesn't believe in enforcing um, the no Confederate flag rule on state property because he believes in states' rights. But he said he does believe that it shouldn't be belong anywhere near federal property. Um, so yeah,
And I could see that kind of relates to Mr. Taney's victories within the southern states, such as Mississippi,
yeah,
Alabama, and Florida. Now, Florida is his home state, and
hmm
he won by a fairly large margin. However, Georgia, which is Mr. Terry's home state, went for a very wide margin. Now, that kind of tells you something
yeah,
that you have not as wide as margins in the southern states, such as Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi, as you did in
mhm,
previous elections. It's a lot because they're
yeah.
both from the South. So there has to be something bringing those Terry voters out
Um,
and combating Tawny.
I think the problem with the Terry versus Tawny voters, honestly, I don't think it's the Tawny vote. I don't think it's Tawny versus Rabe. I think now where we are post debate, um, results, people voting, results coming out. I think it's really Terry versus 20. I think that I think you can really see the divide in the South. Where there's that sea of 20 and then Georgia, you see Henry Terry. Um, I think what's really bringing out the Terry voters is they're they're ready for something new. I think Henry Terry really represented that in his answers, in his campaign, and in himself. Period. So I think he ran a strong campaign, and I think he is running a strong campaign. Um, but just a quick question: who do you think will concede first?
Well, it depends on how the races come out. Like, let's say Tawny wins California, but also Terry wins Pennsylvania, and
Yeah.
he already won Michigan.
Yep.
So it depends. Whoever is closer, I suggest would drop out for, or wouldn't drop out as quickly as the other opponent. However, like in S21, Wilkins v. Brown, none of them waited to concede because California decided everything in
Yep.
S21. So
Yeah.
maybe just an advice for all those people who concede, you should wait because you
Yep.
never know if you're gonna pull off a win or anything.
Sorrels, what about you? Any thoughts?
I did have thoughts. I just need to remember what I was gonna say. Oh yeah. So I this collection is very similar to season 21. I think we can all agree on that. Jacob Tawney is like the Nathan Brown. He's already well established in the race. A lot of he has a solid base of supporters. But then you got Henry Terry coming out of nowhere as the dark horse candidate, starting out small and then gaining more and more and more, and eventually he's tied with Jacob and sometimes even leading. And it could be exactly like season 21 with him winning, or it could just he what we can all agree on though is he's made it a very tough race for
Yep.
Jacob.
And I challenge anyone or everyone to go back and watch the debate. Whenever you hear Jacob Twani and Logan Rabe going back and forth, when Henry Terry steps in, his response is thorough, it's detailed, and it touches home with a lot of people. Like his response on farmers, his rural reinvestment plan, investing in those states, meeting those people. I think he spent a lot of time there, a lot of effort in those states. And I think that his debate performance out of all, um, overall, excuse me, was an A. Um, his answers were, like I said, detailed. They were elegant, and wherever he didn't belong, he didn't go. And I thought that was great for him to do, to stray away from the 20 verse Rabe, which really I think damaged both of their campaigns, as I said earlier.
Yes, like he was kind of sitting in the corner while they were jabbing, while Tawny and Ray were jabbing at each other.
Now,
Which,
now I just want to say that I think we can all agree that Logan Rabe was really only there to throw dirt on Jacob, and
Yeah, like
yeah,
on the topic of abortion, Henry Terry says he's pro-life but doesn't believe in abortion after 20 weeks. Jacob Twani said the same thing. And then Logan Rabe says he's pro-life up to 20 years. I mean, obviously, we can see he's not. And like the moderator, Ben McKay, said, they're not, I don't think, or at least Logan Rabe wasn't stepping up to the level that a president should be at, or at least someone vying to be president, to be serving in the highest, most powerful office in the world, making jokes about 20 years of abortion, or just every statement he made, Jacob's name was in it, whether it be about farmers, whether it be about abortion or Muslims, whatever it was. Like Matthew said, he was just there to throw dirt on Tawny, and I think ultimately he's gonna help Henry Terry, and that's just my projection.
So unlike you folks, I didn't really watch the debate. I didn't care to watch the debate. No, we are faced in this election cycle with two choices. They may not be the best choices we want. But whoever wins, as Obama once said, the sun will rise tomorrow. At least I hope it will. This election, we have seen the polls, especially in the House, be sort of wrong, kind of wrong, a tad wrong. We have seen the presidential polls go from a Jacob landslide to a Grover victory. We have seen a lot of changes in the race before the race even happened. All right, we are past the forecasting part of this. We are now at the now casting, meaning we have to watch for ourselves what's going to happen. There's no longer polls that can back us up. It's what the voters decide. And so what the voters decide in all races. And I am hoping that voters decide on a good candidate. And I'm hoping that they would choose me in my home district.
okay, that's
district.
that's okay.
I'm hoping that they will choose
Chris,
for the people.
Stop.
by the
Stop. We're not an advertising firm.
Chris, I don't think the votes really match, or at least in one case. You know, me and the incumbent candidate for D7, Dave, we just campaigned with Jacob Twani yesterday. And yet Michigan went to Henry Terry, a state within Dave's district, a state that I campaigned for Twani in multiple times, or at least two times. I think I don't think endorsements now are really as effective as they were, say, in season 10, when Mech was still on Google Plus, where endorsements really helped some candidates out. But like you said, Chris, we're past the projecting phase. Or this race is either one vision for America,
Yes,
or a dark, deep, nasty vision for America that supports selling our citizens to a foreign country. That's what we're faced with. And if we can't get it right now, Mech is, ruined.
Okay, so
Yes.
we have one of the candidates wanting to come on live for the show.
Yes, I would love to interview a candidate.
Let's talk to Harry and Matthew. What do you guys feel about that?
I don't care. What about you, Matthew?
Are you referring in specific to Connor Grant?
No, we're talking about Jacob Taney.
Oh, Jacob Taney, because Connor Grant also wants to come on.
Nope, he can't come.
Okay, well, we're gonna keep it at small numbers for now until
Oh yeah, Connor Grant asked me about that too.
When
That's fair.
When Twana
Okay.
comes in, can I give him a little short interview?
Might be getting the president. We might be getting the future president on here soon, or maybe
Okay.
the candidate.
Let's get back on discussion. The only reason why Jacob Taney is challenged right now is because of Senator Heidi Allen. Many of her supporters flocked and wanted someone to support other than Taney. So they kind of encouraged Terry to run. And they got behind him. It's like anyone but Taney.
I'm running, as many people know, I'm running for her seat. And I think the senator, I think she's an amazing senator. But as I said to her earlier, hold on.
I think we were about to get one of the presidential candidates on just about any second now.
Mm-hmm. I'll introduce him whenever the time is ready.
Okay, let me see. All right, so Harry, if you want to start the introduction.
All right. And now we have presidential candidate Jacob Taney from the great state of Florida joining us any moment now.
Yes, any moment now. We have message him.
And we're waiting.
Yeah, so we're waiting for him. But I mean, if he's going to be the president, we'll all be waiting. Well, he'll be waiting on us.
Anyone remember when Easton Wilkins made us wait for an inauguration?
He did that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Didn't he resign?
I think so. Yeah. Okay, yep, we're waiting. So continue with what you were saying. Just here.
Just see you there.
Oh, I think they
Okay.
left.
Well, I think he was talking about Heidi Allen, how that hurt him. Now, I have all the respect for Heidi Allen in the world. She may not be the well-liked candidate. At first, she definitely was not liked. She wasn't liked by literally no one.
I want to dive into this and say that one of the other candidates wants to join.
Which one's that?
That would be Grover.
I think
he shall come after Mr. Taney.
Yeah, I think it's only fair we let both candidates on. So yeah, he'll come after.
Well, yeah, we can wait until.
Because we don't want a whole debate going on within the newscast.
That's a fair point.
Oh, come on.
So continue what you were saying, and we'll get to Mr. Taney.
So Heidi Allen, she has my respect. She has a lot of people's respect. She has her supporters' respect. But basically, when she ran for president, she was basically saying it's going to be my way or the highway. And a lot of Mech didn't like that. Her campaign was basically vote for me because I'm a female. And a lot of Mech didn't like that. The Democratic Party didn't like that. And I mean, I'm all for women in politics and stuff, and women in incredible roles, which we have in today's America. But you can't just come in here and be like, it's going to be my way or the highway and expect to get anywhere, because it's really not how things are done. And that could have hurt her in the Democratic primaries, and maybe the reason why we have Jacob Taney as one of the finalists in the presidential elections. But maybe she'll run in the future, but she's no longer running for Senate as she has passed some controversial stuff, what people will call it. And the chances of her winning for re-election may not be the best right now. I do see her coming back probably in the future. maybe in the new White House, maybe as a position in the White House, or maybe maybe in somewhere else in the White House. But I do not see her being able to win the presidency, at least not this term, and maybe not next term, but maybe in a few seasons. Sorry, we'll see her run. And maybe she'll win, but I think she's gonna have to change her campaign strategy from being my way or the highway, or to a campaign that welcomes all, which is something that she lacked, in my opinion.
All right, and now let us get to Secretary Tawny. Now, Secretary Tawny, how are you tonight?
I'm good. We're feeling good here at the campaign HQ in Miami.
Okay. Now, how do you feel about the state of Michigan and many other northern states going for your opponent?
Well, as I said in the debate, I don't really care if you vote for my opponents, because I'm still going to voice my opinion, and I'm still going to fight for you as president. So I respect the opinions of the citizens of Michigan, and Wisconsin, and many of those northern states. We put up a really good fight there. We put in a lot of resources, but at the end of the day, we came just a little bit short in some of those states. But that's fine, because there are still a lot of other states to be called, and we're very optimistic.
All right. Now, how do you think you performed in the debate? Do you think you performed good, bad,
I think our campaign performed better in the first debate, if I'm going to be honest. Today, it was. I recently just went back to school, and teachers have already decided to assign homework. So I was doing homework at the same time, kind of being a little stressed. But I think pretty much everyone, we didn't have our best performance at the debate. I think we all could have done a lot better. I will admit that Secretary Rabe did get under my skin just a little bit, but that was mainly because of the stress that I was under due to schoolwork already. But I think we all did in my opinion.
All right. One last question from me. Now, how do you address many undecided voters, and how would you try to get them to vote for you in these final hours of this crucial election?
Well, as I've done throughout this campaign, I've been going state to state, city to city, precinct to precinct. I've been telling people my plans, my policy. I've told them my record. Me and my running mate have written over 100 bills combined. And my platform is 34 pages of pure policy. I've gone to these people who don't usually vote. I've gone to these people who don't usually vote for Democrats in hardcore states, like where just the other day I was in Alabama with Epideli at a rally, and there was a good turnout at this rally. And this is an area that is not a Democratic area. I'm not running for president to only be a president for the Democrats, just as my opponents aren't running just to represent their party. I'm running to represent all Americans in Washington, D.C., no matter if they're from Los Angeles or if they're from New York City or anything in between. So my case to undecided voters is, if you want a president with the proven record of a lot of legislation and a lot of plans, then I'm your guy.
Okay.
All right.
Jacob.
Any other questions for him?
Yeah, Jacob.
Yes, Chris.
Your campaign. You have seen your ups and most recently your downs. How do you believe, if you end up winning, how do you believe you overcame this down turn in your numbers?
Well, at the beginning of the campaign, we were doing quite well, but as we went through, it kind of evened out. If we are able to overcome this kind of momentum boost from opponents, and if we are able to win this election, then I'd be ecstatic. But if we aren't able to, then I understand, and I respect the votes of other people, and I'm not going to quit fighting for them. So I hope that we can overcome this recent momentum boost from other candidates. And I hope that I can win the loyalty and the respect and the votes of the people of MEC from all 50 states, no matter where they're from. I hope that I can earn their votes.
All right, Mr. Tawny. I think of one last question for you. Now I kind of forget the question, truth be told, but yeah. Okay, what do you believe your issue tonight is the one you're going to win off of?
I think our main issue is the economy. I think we are probably the strongest when it comes to healthcare, but we already have such a great healthcare system in this nation. So we're mainly focusing on the economy and our environment. So I think we're going to win when it comes down to either the environment, healthcare policy, or the economy, all of which me and my running mate have had a proven record on. So if we're going to carry the 276 needed, then that's what we'll win it on, in my opinion.
Okay, now one last question for you. If you end up losing tonight, will you say, or will you announce right now, right here, will you seek next season's presidential nomination by the Democratic Party?
If I lose this presidential election, I will
Wait.
most likely not run for president next election season.
Okay.
I will probably not. It's always good to take breaks in between when running for president.
Okay. And for me personally, I haven't seen much of anyone's. Who even is Grover's vice president?
Mayowa.
Oh yes, I forgot. Yes. So that brings up the question. I haven't seen much of any of yours or Mayowa's vice president campaigning for your each side. Now that I'm just me personally, or is there an explanation to this?
Well, I think it was yesterday. Raimundo posted a rally in Arizona. Yeah, he posted a rally yesterday in Arizona. But me and him are both undergoing the stress because we just started up school. He started on Monday. I started on Wednesday. So we've been focusing mainly on that, getting back into the swing of things. So that's probably the reason why.
All right. Now I know Mayo is in another time zone, and I don't know what his schedule is like either. But yeah, I just haven't seen both vice presidential candidates as active. So if you win, can you assure us that your administration will be active?
Absolutely. We're not going to be an inactive president. We're not going to be an inactive administration. We're going to have a big amount of people in our cabinet, so that way we have views from every single person on what is best for the country. I'm going to have multiple national security advisors, emotional foreign policy advisors, to advise me when events come around that is a threat to our national security and to the American people. So we're going to be an active administration. We're going to be a full administration, and we're going to get a lot of things done.
Okay, now if the Republicans take control of the House, which may be a possibility, may not be a possibility, we're seeing a few key races, such as mine. It's a little closer than thought. My race, they thought the Democrats would sweep it, but it's now actually a lot closer. Anyways, would you believe you could work with a Republican House?
Absolutely. I work with Republicans every day.
And a Republican speaker, too. That may happen.
I work with anyone.
Okay. Now, do you have any pieces of legislation you want to lay out for us tonight, or do we?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Do you have any pieces of legislation you'd like to lay out here tonight while you're on our program?
Some things to talk about in the debate. I'm planning on making a school, what is it called? Renewal / renovation grant program. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico today, and I've had the honor to visit a local high school there, and I saw that the high school was in a state of just horror. There were there were leaks through the ceilings, there were cracks along the walls, there was, because this is a lot of things that a lot of people haven't talked about in Washington, and that is, sure, we can invest more money, we can throw more money at the schools, but that's usually going towards curriculum and curriculum research and stuff. It's not going to the actual infrastructure of the schools. So that's one thing. And then our Rural Farmers Reinvestment Act, which will give more information about subsidies with corn, ethanol, things like that, and new grant programs for farmers for renovation and stuff, implement new insurance programs for certain things when it comes to natural disasters. So those are two main things that we plan to work on during my administration. And I know Harry's trying to wrap this up to make this even for different candidates, for the other candidates, about 10 minutes each. So I won't go into much more detail, to be fair.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
for having. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Yes, thank you, Secretary
Thank-
Tawny.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great night, and I
You
wish
too.
you luck.
Thank-
And now, someone let Representative Terry into the call. Someone at home. And we can get the other side's perspective on. We're asking the same questions. I hope that way it's fair.
Yeah, did someone write down the questions?
I've memorized them, so.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, never mind. He's already at it.
All right, and welcome, Miss Representative Terry. Representative Terry, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Now, you have been winning the North. However, you've been losing the South by most of it, except Georgia. How do you feel about these calls?
Well, I mean, if the mods think that this is what's most realistic, I mean, I can't do much about it. You know, I tried to campaign a lot in the South. I guess they weren't really too inspired with my message. And that's understandable if they don't necessarily agree with me. I think Jacob Tawny is a great candidate.
Is that
Yeah.
your response? Okay. Now, how do you think you performed in the recent debate a few hours ago? Do you think you performed really well, performed really not well, and then you performed
I think I did. There were times where I did good. There were times where I feel like I could have been more prepared. Towards the end, I feel like I should have prepared more for questions about those things. I think I could do a lot better next time if I ever.
You're running next season.
No, probably not.
Will you ever run again?
Well, that's up for that's the one. Roman Thaddeus just talking about the election kind of inspired me to run. Like Mayowa, Ubi, Robert, Heidi, all of those people, a lot of those people told me, or inspired me to run when I just floated around the idea. I really was inspired a lot by just people in general in MEC. There were a lot of concerns that people in MEC had, and I felt like I could be the candidate to solve those concerns or to resolve those concerns. And those people also really inspired me.
Okay.
To ever tell me to run in MEC was Chris Miller. I don't know if you know him, but yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. He's running for D9, I believe. Yeah, D9. Yeah, he told me to run back in September. So yeah, I take a lot of inspiration to that too.
So it's true. He told you to run in September of 2018.
Yeah.
All right. So, with recent concerns about many people not being serious about campaigning, how do you address these concerns, and what do you tell the voters who are undecided within this election?
Well, I mean, if I was truly running well, I'm take. Do you mean how do I respond to people who think I'm running as a joke, or do you mean
Yes,
my
and you
behavior?
also respond to
Okay, I'll
those.
respond to. All right, so when it comes to if I'm running as a joke, I wouldn't spend hours and hours working on this campaign if this was just a joke. Um, I spent a lot of time in this campaign. I talked to a lot of people. I think I worked really hard on this. And just look at my rallies, look at what I'm proposing. I'm not proposing anything as a joke. Now, about my personality and how I have a trollish behavior, and I understand that. Those are fair concerns. I've said things that I shouldn't have, but you know, look at my record. When I was trade representative under the Sanders administration, Roman, Ethan, Robert, Cameron, they can all attest to this. I was very serious. I was very on the ball as trade representative when we were renegotiating NAFTA. As a representative, I've pushed and fought for bills that I believe in. I've never, truly proposed joke bills. In MEC, I've wrote joke bills, but they weren't really never meant to propose. They were just jokes. I never wanted to propose a joke bill. I never will propose a joke bill in the House. So yeah.
All right, now how do you address the undecided voters? What do you tell them, and how can you get them to vote for you?
Well, if you're undecided, you feel free to PM me. Learn about my campaign. I have about 18 policies on my website and about like 25, 30 altogether on my main document. Feel free to PM me about any concern. And if you're still undecided, and if you don't want to PM me, let me just explain the basics of my platform right now. I'm running because I believe the working class must be strong. So I'm proposing the incentivization of workplace democracy so that workers can at least get some say in what goes on in their livelihood and in their workplace. I'm proposing for more direct democracy, so a national referendum / initiative type thing that we could do as a nation. I am proposing investing billions in climate change and carbon capture and cleaning up our oceans and things of that nature. I'm proposing to create millions and millions of jobs in infrastructure and climate change, like I addressed earlier, and investing in small businesses. And finally, probably a huge thing that a lot of people would like to know is my tax plan. I don't believe anyone in the 95% should be paying a cent in payroll or income tax. I think that to raise revenues, we should try to lower the tax burden on the working people, the people who make our economy run, the people who are the reason the rich are so rich. I would like to make sure that they don't have to pay much in taxes. I would like to raise revenues without having to place the burden on the middle class, and that is through a annual collection of ground rent, aka a land value tax, which we had and we still do have. We reinstated it. I would like to raise it, along with lowering the payroll tax and the income tax.
So I have a question. This is like without my knowledge. I wasn't here when you reinstated it. So the land value tax was taken out by the Uberfeld who put it back in.
It was I believe Robert Sanders signed it was Robert Sanders or Nathan Brown. I really can't remember right now because my mind's racing. Uberfeld proposed a bill to take out the land value tax and all these different crazy taxes like the ultramillionaire, or not the ultramillionaire.
Which this bill was signed into law.
Yeah. And then we reinstated it under the Adams administration, which I helped do. I helped write the portion regarding the land value tax.
You said Adams administration.
Or Evans administration, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You have any more questions for him? Mr. Miller.
Yes. No, this is purely off of because I have no idea. But can you tell me why they reinstated it, even though it was found unpopular by the person who first put it in? Because we couldn't. The reason we took it out is during my time in the House is because no one, at the time, the Speaker Ethan Davis couldn't even calculate.
That's one of the reasons why I was against it in the first place. The reason why Uberfeld did it was just I've talked to him about this. He supports the idea of the land value tax. He just wanted the different bills, or wanted this different taxation. The reason why we put it back in is because most economists will say that it's the most efficient way to raise revenues. I've found ways that we can calculate it. I've found multiple studies by economists. One study that we based it off of said that the total land rent in the United States, aka total the rental value of land, the locational value of land, was about $5.4 trillion, or 20% of national income in the 1980s. So we're going off those numbers. The reason why it was so hard to calculate was because the people in Congress at the time, a lot of people just didn't understand the land value tax, and we weren't calculating the right thing. We were calculating the market value rather than the rental value, and those are two different things when it comes to this type of tax. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. We have to wrap it up. We have to put in some other House candidates, and we thank you for being on this program tonight.
Mhm.
And I wish you good luck
Yes, I wish
on
you
your
best of luck.
bid for president.
Gopher.
Yeah.
I have a question off the air. I'll ask you.
Okay. Well, so I'm done here.
Yes. Good
Okay.
night.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Okay, and now we will introduce Representative Soriano Garcia, who is running for re-election and is currently leading by 9 votes. So let's get Representative Soriano
Yeah, let's
Garcia.
get him in here. Yes, I know he's been wanting in here.
Okay, we got Mr. Soriano Garcia in, and he should join as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the question I asked
Okay.
Grover off air was about the land value tax, and he clarified it for me.
Okay, how was your night, Mr. Soriano Garcia? How do you feel about your House race?
Very well at this point.
All right. Now, do you think you can maintain such a wide margin of vote, or do you think it will shrink as the night goes on into the morning?
I believe it will shrink as the time goes on. My campaign has not been a very good campaign. I can admit that. I do believe that the margin will shrink, but I will not say if I believe that I will pull out a victory or if I will lose re-election.
Very good decision. You
Mr.
never know in these elections.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
This is gonna determine something. Who'd you vote for in the D9 House race?
It was a tough choice, but at the end, I had to go with the choice that I thought was right.
Who'd you choose?
I chose a person who I thought was right.
Okay, so he chose Jasper. Get that son of a bitch off this stage right now.
Okay, yeah, no. Okay.
Just kidding.
You're not wrong.
But is there anything surprising to the House results in your opinion?
David, we know we all knew who we were going to vote for before tonight even came.
Okay, I'm asking him the question.
One surprise is District 9 being so close. I really thought Jasper Lee, who I voted for, was going to pull out a victory easily.
I know you voted for me, David. Don't have to lie.
Wait,
Yeah,
what
I
is
don't
the
have to-
margin on District 9 right now?
It's currently tied, I believe. If last time I checked. Wait,
Either
no,
way,
no, no.
that
Jasper
district is
leading.
going Republican.
Jasper Riley is leading by 1 vote so
Yeah,
far.
that is for sure. Either way, the district will be going Republican, as Epideli has been talking to Jasper Lee, because Jasper Lee confirmed this when I was talking to him earlier. Jasper Lee will be caucusing Republican.
Another surprise, another surprise is that Ashton Shabazz is now leading against Dave Terry.
Yes. Ashton
Very-
Shabazz is leading Dave Terry to 1 vote now.
1 vote. That's very
Yes.
surprising.
That could change anytime now.
It could change, but at this point, it's very surprising that that's the result as of now. And
Yeah,
I think
as of now-
everything else goes as expected.
As
Well,
of now, I don't see any more, like much more votes coming in. I think the voter turnout's going to be rather low this election.
Well, because of the registration.
Not only, well, I know that around 60 people registered. It's just that usually we have a lot more during the time. Like the last House elections, it was around 60 votes this time, and about 10 came in the morning.
And
And
that
then
is
that
why
was
I don't believe it is okay for me to actually say I have pulled out a victory or if I have lost.
Yes, and I understand that. I wouldn't call it victory if I were you either. It's that now on to the presidential election. Who do you think will come out on top?
Oh, that is a very hard choice.
Now, this
want,
isn't no endorsement. I'm just asking. Like, in
I-
general, who do you-
I want Jacob Tani to win. That's the thing, but I don't know. I believe
no.
Henry Terry might have some momentum from people who have not voted yet, or Jacob Tani could be could be gaining votes as we speak at this point.
He could.
Okay,
Like, go ahead.
Mr. David.
Yes.
Now your house race, you surmounted what seemed to be an unsurmountable path earlier on today. Now, as Ethan Fitzgerald has noted, Democrats, basically the opposite of real life. They seem to vote later on. Now, do you believe your support will only expand by tomorrow?
No, I said I don't know if it I think it will shrink.
Okay. Now,
Okay. Now,
do you have any plans or bills for your house term?
I do have one which I explained in the debate that went horribly wrong, where I explained a plan to make to basically lower the cost of prescriptions or stop prescription drugs from being wasted and money being wasted by drug companies who want them to make money. Excuse me?
How would you do it?
I will make a bill to require each prescription drug to have exactly the amount that is needed for a patient instead of adding one size for each prescription drug, which I don't think will be a helpful way, which could lead to part of it being not being used and being thrown away, which would literally be throwing away money that has been spent on those prescription drugs.
No, I agree. This could lead to the opioid epidemic. Also, cutting down would help that.
Excuse me?
Would you believe by also cutting the number of drugs to what is only required would also help the opioid epidemic?
Very much.
What?
Excuse me?
Like I said, would you believe? Sorry. Would you believe that cutting the amount of pills in the bottles would help to cut the opioid epidemic?
I guess so.
You guess so. Okay.
I hope.
Do you think it will? I mean, you're making the bill. I would imagine you have to have an idea.
Yes, it's an idea.
It's your bill.
That will
Okay.
that will
Okay, we're not in the
that will allow
debate
more
now.
people.
With all due respect, Mr. Representative, if you want to pass a bill, you have to know what you're doing in the bill before
Yes, but that's an idea. It hasn't been put into paper yet.
Okay.
Still doing my research. Still working on it. Calm down.
Now, who do you see taking the House, or who do you not see taking the House?
I think it's more likely for there to be a Republican House or a split House due to
Such as it has 2 times already in a row.
yes. But
Yeah,
due
it's
to
been
the results that are happening, I
4-1
believe that's up in the air at this point.
is
So many
definitely
surprising
up
results at this
in the
point.
air. Unless Mr. Terry can pull out a win in D7, then it will be
And
fine.
and hopefully Chris Feather does not pull out a victory.
All right.
Well, thank you for having me.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
All right.
Yes.
You're
One more unbiased. So one more question, David.
Yes.
So yesterday, your debate was mostly credit towards Caleb.
No words to describe.
The beginning of the debate, I would say you're a moderated host, and I would say I was a pretty unbiased host. Would you agree?
The unbiased up into the puppy mill part.
Oh yeah, I was biased against Caleb. Yeah. Anyways,
okay.
now my question is, how would you believe you recovered from that, or who'd you credit to your success to, as the first part of that debate was not recorded? So who would you credit your success to tonight?
Matthew Sorrells.
And I heard rumors that you're writing a letter of thanks to him. Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
Anyways, have a good night.
You too. Hopefully you
have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Good luck. And
fuck you, David. I mean,
okay.
Let's see. Okay, goodbye, David.
Yes.
Okay, and now
David,
we shall have his opponent, Mr. Caleb Caron, on very soon. No, someone add Mr. Caron to our chat, or Karen, however you say it.
Let me see if I can. Caleb Caron. Karen. I don't know. We'll have to clarify with him once he gets in. People. Okay. Now we will be speaking with his opponent. May I say, David Sonora Garcia is very thankful that the first part of the debate wasn't recorded. I was there to host and moderate that while I was moderating that part. And Matthew forgot to record it. There was a big blunder. Unfortunately, it was a gaffe of a lifetime that would have sank one of the campaigns to the bottom of the ocean.
Which campaign?
What?
All right.
What did you say, Matthew?
Now, shall we start? How are you, Mr. Is it Karen? Karan? How do you say it?
Karen.
Karen, okay. How are you tonight?
Not so good.
All right, so what are your thoughts on you being 9 votes behind Representative Soriano Garcia?
Displeased.
Displeased in like...
That's my thought.
Could you describe... Okay, that's your complete thought. All right, yeah. Now, what are your thoughts on the whole House election?
I'm surprised that... Yeah, I'm surprised that the Republican turnout overall throughout the entire House elections. I think they've done a bit better in areas where I didn't expect them to do so good.
Mm-hmm. And do you think it has to do with correlation with the voter registration, or do you just think it's just high Republican voter turnout?
Yeah, I think it has something. I think it has something to do with the low voter turnout right now in this election. I think that has a lot to do.
So,
Because last time we had around
Mr.
60 something vote at the time. Now it's 40.
So, Mr. Caleb, would
Yeah.
you like to share any secret
Karen.
things that happened that occurred last night?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure. We'll leave that for your
That
memoirs,
is his
I guess.
private business.
No, the things that will recall when he was on that we would all not mention it.
Oh yeah, shit.
How do you think you performed in last night's debate, Mr. Karen?
I think I did pretty well considering the fact that my opponent thought I did well, so I'll take that.
Oh. But what explains you being 9 votes down within the House of Representatives
Yeah, that's a good question.
ballot at the moment right now?
I have no explanation.
Now,
do you
believe once
actively?
brought? Do you believe you campaigned actively? Was the question.
No. I don't
There you go.
know exactly what was wrong with my campaign.
Did you do what they call? Did you do what they call PM surfing?
I did some of
Which
that.
is, you
yes.
ask people. That's now, like, you can ask Chris, Matthew, maybe because he was in office before the Supreme Court. That PMing people, I've noticed that PMing people is just as good as releasing rallies. Rallies no longer get you anywhere, especially being here since 2008. Rallies used to mean everything. They don't.
I mean, I'm someone named Jay Crosby who's been very displeased with his own PMs. Would I be wrong to say that?
Yes. Now, let's say that you lose. What is your next plan?
I don't know.
Were you running again against David Sonora Garcia? Considering you beat a incumbent, well, you would lose, but maybe by a considerable margin.
Once again, I don't know.
Now, 10 votes is not a blowout. I'm not saying it's a blowout. What I'm saying.
Well, I think considering the situation that I think has occurred over the campaign, I think it's a very unencouraging number.
Okay. Now I don't know if this was a part of the debate or not, or this is afterwards. But you were talking about your view on PMing. Do you believe that hurt your final chances?
Yeah, I think potentially. I have a sort of I have a difficult relationship. I find PMs to be sort of an annoying way of campaigning. I tried my best to, whenever I did PM, tried my best to be cordial with it, and I didn't want to be like forcing people to be like, tell me what you want. I mean, I didn't want that. I wanted to try and be cordial and nice. I don't know whether or not I PM the right people. Probably didn't. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Harry, you could ask.
All right. Yeah. I don't have actually. We actually breezed through those with short responses. Thank you, Mr. Karen. Have a great night, and I wish you luck.
Yes, have a great night. I wish you luck, and I wish both of you guys luck tonight.
Okay. And now we shall wrap up this. As it stands right now, Mr. Tawney is leading by 6 electoral votes, and as the House stands, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 1 independent, which may lead to a tie. So, good night, everyone. This is C-SPAN Mac, along with Matthew Sorrells and Chris Miller.